Hey guys, what's going on? Wednesday market breakdown midweek. Do apologize. I know usually I do release these videos in the morning. Been quite busy today. Been driving around doing some stuff. Have been looking at the markets, just not as much as I would usually. But yeah, let's jump straight into it. So the DXY, essentially looking at the DXY, we can basically see that price, obviously as it broke below, pushed up aggressively, and we have a little bit more progression in terms of the push. Now, in no means whatsoever am I convinced that this is going to fly up. I actually think this could be the beginning of the short move, and we just need to keep a close attention on this, because this is something I would say is sometimes a little bit quite typical, and we could just see this little squeeze and then we just drop off here. So bear that in mind, that this is still a possibility, and there is a probability that this can play. If we get that aggressive short, that could give us enough momentum for us to get a big short play on a few of the US related pairs. So I would definitely keep that in mind regarding those, because we might definitely see that, you know, it could definitely play out. So keep that in mind for this. Looking on the 1 hour, it's not as clear, and I wouldn't say just take an entry here, but it's definitely a strategic area to be entering. You know, just definitely with this in line as well, you know, just retesting this candle here, you know, just taps in, pushes off, and now we're just kind of getting that momentum to the low side. You can somewhat draw a 1 2 3 leading up structure as well. I wouldn't say that this is the most convincing structure, and I wouldn't really be entertaining something like that, but at the end of the day, you know, it kind of all lines up, and we're kind of in the current moment where, you know, if we look at a few of the other related pairs, we'll see them dropping off as well. So going off the bat of that, let's just jump straight into it and go on to USD CAD from our watch list. So USD CAD, essentially we can see that we are trading above in this area, and this is a very good area, because what is technically happening is we're actually seeing that price pushed up aggressively. We tapped in, took out people's orders, and now we could aggressively just sell off, which we've seen quite a lot. This is very typical price action that we see a lot of the time. It doesn't always happen, but we have to understand that it's always a possibility. Once again, I'll just show you a bit of price over here. Countless amount of times where if I take this little bit of price here, we can see that same thing. We did that, we sold off a little bit and we pushed up, sold off a bit more than usual, but we did that over here again. You know, we can see something quite similar, but then we could say that we were filling this area here. Once again over here, you know, we tapped in, we filled this, we pushed up, and then we pushed down, and then we pushed up again, tapped some people out of the market, and then corrected. Once again over here, you know, in this section here, we can see that, you know, it happens quite a lot, and it's not something that I would say is avoidable, because, you know, it's just something you have to always price in and understand that it's a possibility. You know, over here as well, we could have looked at this area here, price just pushed above ever so much more, and then we eventually sold off. There is always opportunity once the commitment begins, so keep an eye on that. Taking trades in these areas can be quite dangerous, but also very profitable, because that is what we usually look for. However, taking this sort of trade was not a bad trade at all. This was a very good strategic play, but in this case it just didn't play out. Now we're in a sort of price area where it can definitely commit, and if it does commit from here, this can be a very profitable run. But at the same time, understand that this can definitely give us plenty of opportunity to the downside, right? You just need to understand, how can I take advantage of that, and where and when you want to position yourself, and what's appropriate for risk management. Those are the main important things. So obviously looking at this, there's definitely potential. Would you jump into this opportunity right now? Probably not the best of price actions to just jump involving in the market right now. However, there's opportunity within here. You could take a very strategic play, which I think could be a very profitable trade, where you could take around about 34 pips. I mean, it's moving quite aggressively as we speak, because the DXY is about to move. But once again, you know, to that low, there's potentially rate maybe around about 8% there. So on the table, it's a good position. At the same time, understand that this is also a possibility, where we could have something like this, where price does do this and it kind of corrects, and then we get something kind of just push up and then sell off. Always understand that that is also a possibility, but strategically placing yourself in the market in these areas is definitely as well a very smart play. 4 hour might paint a better picture. As you can see, we've pushed out, and are we retracing back into the market? You know, we've retraced it, engulfed that price over there, which is once again very, very nice. And now we might be closing in 10 minutes on a bearish pin bar, which is very nice to be seeing at the top of these structures. So just wanted to share that with yourself and be aware that this is a great lesson for a lot of people as well who do trade in this particular way. We could see this as a retrace on the daily as well, where, you know, we had that bullish, we had that rejection over here, and then we just get a big rejection candle and we're trading down here. And the next thing you know, you're thinking, wow, you know, I could have really positioned myself, or I was a bit upset because I got taken out of the market from this. And this happened. I didn't really want to get involved in the market, but it hasn't changed anything. We're still trading in a very, very good profitable area. This is one of the reasons why being extra patient with things and letting the picture really play out can be very profitable. But at the same time, understand that looking for something here was also very, very good as well. Don't kind of just cross that bit off, because at the time, this as well is very beautiful, man. This definitely could have played out to be a very nice trade, where we tapped into this, we could have created something over here, and on a different day, you know, we could have had this where we pushed up, we tapped into this, and then we sold off, and then we created something a little bit larger down here. You're protected, and then next thing you know, we're all the way down here, you know. And I've seen that play many, many times. So understand that there's opportunity 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, maybe 5. So much opportunity. And if you miss it, you miss it. You just get in on the next trade or different pair. Simple as that. So that's basically covering over USD CAD. I know it was a little bit of a long one, but there's just a major lesson in there that I thought I'd definitely share with you guys as well. So moving on to the next pair, which is Euro New Zealand dollar. As we can see with Euro New Zealand dollar, we definitely have a very nice commitment at this point. We had a push down and a very good flag as well. Clearer on the line chart, so we can see it over here. We'd have to read through price ever so much, but we're basically looking at this little bit over here. There was definitely some good opportunity to maybe get positioned in the market in this area. Like I said, easy to be missed because we didn't quite complete this. It's kind of typical in a way as well, where things like this happen, but at the same time, we could see opportunity again if price can make its way back up here, and then we might see commitment, and you could be looking at an opportunity in this area alone. So keep that in mind. It could be a definite good trade, but I think we could be trading into Asian session for this. So meaning if you are a UK trader, keep an eye out, because it could shape up around about here, where we're leading into early hours where most of the UK is sleeping, but then we might get crazy commitment, and then you wake up and you're thinking, oh gosh, wow, that committed quite much. But understand that, you know, this is still a bit of corrective price up here. So, you know, there's always that possibility that this can still get a bit messy and push up further, but at the same time, it's in a very good area of value, and there's the possibility that this can drop off. But always understand that we could just push up, come down, create this sort of what's it called, head and shoulders over here, and then sell off as well. So there's always varied possibilities that we have to look at as traders, but understand that this is enough for us to commit to the downside, and trading in these messy areas is sometimes very nice. You know, we kind of finished with an expanding, if you can really get granular with this and understand that this is a reversal structure in itself. So at the end of the day, you know, there was definitely opportunity in here. It's just not for everyone, but at the same time, if there's going to be more opportunity, look to get involved on the way down. Moving on to the next pair, which is Aussie New Zealand dollar. So we saw this earlier in the week. Unfortunately, I did get tagged out over here. I wasn't able to capture an extra entry. However, looking at this now in hindsight, you know, it would have been a very nice trade. We'd running around about 10%. It is what it is, it happens. The most important thing is that obviously we can understand what's happening on the charts, and in the future, on a different day, we may be able to learn from this lesson and understand that, you know, this is a very common thing with Aussie New Zealand dollar, and there's something that I've taken a lesson from and realized that, you know, these possibilities happen quite a lot. So understanding the characteristics of different pairs is very important, but at the same time, hasn't really presented with me with much opportunity. I am looking for something now to kind of just get me involved. Who knows? Will I get something like this? Will I not? I don't know. But at the end of the day, I will look for something in that region, and if I can take that, I'll take that opportunity. But, you know, at the same time, we are coming down to that 90% rule, so be a little bit cautious, look for some larger flags to form and so forth. So at the moment, it is looking very good. I don't think there's much else that I can really report on Aussie, New Zealand dollar. But honestly, it's been one of the most phenomenal pairs this week, and hence the reason why, you know, I've definitely been keeping an eye on it. The next one I'm looking at over here is Aussie Yen. So Aussie Yen is actually trading in a very nice area. We've tapped into this little inflection point over here, which is not really what my eyes gravitated towards. I'm more so interested in this. What I'm interested in is the fact that if we look at how we pushed away from this, it's actually quite good on the 1 hour. We've basically tapped into this and we've rechased. Right now, we're actually in a very, very prime area for this, and this is a very good area to potentially be looking for a long position. There's no neat means for us to come back to this trend line and gravitate towards it, where a lot of people's attention will be going to. Over here is painting the picture. I would be a little bit patient for now, but if at any point we do kind of push up a little bit higher and we start creating this, boom, that is your entry to go long, right? Do not hesitate on this entry at all, because this will be a very, very nice run, and this can definitely extend and go quite high up, and you'd be in for a monster of a trade, okay, for that. So that's basically what I'm looking at. That will be your override, but more so this could extend and make its way all the way up here by the time we're looking at it. So this is something that I think for a lot of traders right now, keep a key attention on this for sure. Take a reduced risk entry on it as well. You know, you could definitely be in there for 17 pips. Let's say if this position of that flag is that big, it'll probably be a bit smaller, to be honest, but for the sort of first inflection point, you're looking at roughly around about 6.9 to the 1, 2, 3. You could essentially call it around about double that, so maybe to about 13-14%. And then most probably where we will gravitate towards is this high. You could be in a 20% position, mitigating risk with that as well. And then if you were to be able to get that aggressive entry and call it around about 10 pips, you know, you could be running around about a 36 odd percentage. So, you know, 36%, 24% and 13%. That's one thing I would keep in mind for sure. I think this could be a phenomenal entry. Right now we're in a prime time, we're in the midweek as well, so there's so much opportunity, but also understand that, you know, we can gravitate to this trend line, maybe spike down, push back up, but it's very unlikely if we start forming this flag. So bear in mind, this could be a very good trade. We already have the middle section, we don't need much more. You know, this is already here, so this is just a larger continuation flag for the big move. Of course, this can get a bit corrective and a bit messy, but if you position yourself in a protected area down here, you could be in a very, very good trade. So just wanted to share that with you. I think Aussie Yen's going to be very, very nice. Keep that in mind. I have set an alert for this override point. Just want to see when it's surpassing it. But looking how price is shaped here, it doesn't look like we are going to be just moving back down anytime soon. It looks like we're actually going to complete this 1, 2, 3, which makes it more probable given the middle section and the impulsive action and this corrective flag here. So it's going to look really, really nice. Moving on to the next one, which is GBP Yen. With GBP Yen, we've already had some commitment to this, which is very nice. In fact, you know, if this was live once again, we would be seeing this entry over here where we could actually re-enter on the reduced risk. I would say that personally, I would take a little bit more extra. I would probably call this around about 50 pips, just to be safe, because we are going to be approaching high spread hours, which I think personally, this is a gameplay for that. We're going to take some people out if we don't get any commitment before high spreads. So closer to the hour, and then spreads will get large, take people out, and then when spread starts to come down, we might see a drop off. So keep that in mind, because it does tend to be quite a common thing. But looking at how price is, I wouldn't even be looking for that. I would just be keeping it very, very simple and just looking at this bit of price now, waiting in anticipation for price to just basically commit through this trend. Okay, using this trend line for an indication of when we are solidly moving, we need to be saying a solid impulse through it. However, this is very nice, this corrective move here. However, since we've kind of tapped into this area here, we haven't progressively moved in an impulsive way that I would have liked. This isn't the most progressive price action. It is a little bit off-putting in a way, but we are at the start of a monster of a run, so it's completely okay. Right now would definitely be a very good area to just be entering on that reduced risk, because my position would originally be here. I would add in that extra 10 pips just to be safe. But if you are trading like I am, 0.3, 0.25%, then for sure, you can actually add that in and then, keep it a bit tight around about 40. And then when spreads do come in and you're around about here, you can just open that up to 0.5% if you're happy and comfortable with that. And then basically just close it down again once you're in there. But understand that it comes with risk. Understand that you could be taking essentially a 0.5% loss if you haven't priced that in. So myself, I always take things like that into consideration, especially if I'm trading so late in the evening and it's not a morning trade, because we don't want to be trading into high spreads with a tight stop loss, especially with large risk on the table, because you risk slippage, you risk damaging your mindset, you risk mismanaging your trades, and you also you put yourself at risk as well. You put your account at risk, and that's what you want to mitigate. You want to be a very good risk manager. You need to protect yourself as much as possible, and the only way to do that is by managing your risk appropriately. So that's basically it for GBP yen. GBP yen has definitely got a monster of a run involved. As you know, we've been waiting for this particular trade for weeks. So even if it doesn't happen now, we still need to keep a key eye on it, because this can definitely play out to be phenomenal. Right now on the daily structure, we can see this looks absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. We just need to wait for more commitment, and this is going to look great when we do approach those lows. So just wanted to share that a little bit with yourself. I hope that's really good and helpful. Moving on to the next one, which is CAD yen. Boy, CAD yen is looking stunning, absolutely. So what I'm looking at with CAD yen is basically this becoming just a bit more corrective at its current moment in time, but we did have that double top scoop, and it looks like we are getting some commitment to the downside. Once again, I'm keeping this exactly as we forecasted on the weekend. We either get commitment, break below here and start flagging coming to the downside, or we start gravitating back up to this high, tap into this little bit of price, and then we drop off. Like I said, GBP yen is still a little bit corrective, but it has massive potential, whereas CAD yen, it had massive potential, and right now it still could be, but at the moment there's nothing in there to say I want to get involved in this sort of price action. It's definitely something that I would stay away from personally, just because if you look at this for what it is, it's now become something else, and it definitely looks like continuation to the upside. So kind of just looking at this, I don't think this is the sort of price action I would personally want to get involved in. You could absolutely just hold a position like that, but understand it comes with that risk, and for that reason I think I would stay out for that until we come down here. So CAD yen is one that I don't think I'll be having on watch this week unless something dramatic changes, but at the moment we're just still in this corrective area, which I'm not really going to be looking to get entertained in. Moving on to our wild cards. So for the wild cards, obviously we're looking at New Zealand yen. New Zealand yen for myself is nowhere near ready. I'm still waiting for that solid push to the upside. We are getting all of this accumulation right now. We might get one spike down and then push up aggressively, or we might just carry on just correctively moving. In no means necessary is this any bad price action. I still think this has upwards potential. It's not the sort of price action, once again, I want to be getting involved in. I will be patient and wait for this, but like I said, this could be a strategic area to be getting in for that long position to the short, but this can still have that possibility of dropping off, but I'm not really convinced with that. I'll be waiting for that long, wait for my alert to be triggered, and then look for the short. Could just be one to be extra patient with. But once again, there's such a huge amount of opportunities on the table right now, especially with some of the ones we've missed. You have to just understand that sometimes it's better that these ones take their time, because then you can actually get involved on the other ones, and then by the time you maybe even get taken out by management on the other ones and there's no entry on it, you might be able to get involved in something like this. So New Zealand yen is looking good, just needs some time for development. US dollar yen. Now, like I said, if the DXY does happen to sell off and we do get some rejection from here, then we could potentially be seeing some decent rejection from here. I did draw this on as a potential where we could be just creating this larger sort of flag, which is always a possibility. At the moment, it's, like I said, it's not really shaped up completely, but if this just corrects and then kind of makes its way down correctively and then comes up one more time, this could as well be a very, very nice structure, on the daily for sure. So we definitely have to keep an eye on this, because this, in the larger scheme of things, is what we actually need to go to the downside, right? We're looking for something large like this to give us that commitment to the downside and then potentially fill this gap down here, and then we get a massive move. However, it doesn't have to play out like that. It could be so much different, and we might see the DXY going impulsive, and then we just basically have this nice scoop, corrective scoop up to one of these inflection points, high probability to here, and we drop off. So, you know, a few variations of things, but understand that we're sitting on this override right now. Now, as we're sitting on this override, we have to understand that this is an area where we can still sell off and then make it to that low. But just looking at future forecasts and potential future prices, you know, I think that this is always a possibility. Doesn't have to come exactly to here, but you know, seeing something like that and then doing this, that could be a very, very nice gameplay for USD yen, you know, or even to here. So keep that in mind. I think just as a variation for USD yen, it's very, very nice. Next one is USD Swiss. Now, USD Swiss is looking like we're going to have this sort of double top scoop over here, right? Not too convinced of the price action as at the moment. You know, it's just very not my sort of entry, but at the same time I would take this off completely. The entry was kind of in here for the short to kind of create that larger flag, which was in line with USD yen and USD CAD, but we did get more of an extension on it. Looking at this, if we can get that scoop, tap into this and then sell off, there might be plenty of opportunity to go to the downside. But that's basically it, really. You know, I'm not huge on this trade at all. This is not one that I'm thinking like I want to really get involved in on, because there's some better trades on the table. However, there's that good possibility that we can tap into this override and sell off. Understand that we could extend further, tap into this point or this point, and just tap into that and then create something a little bit larger and drop off. So like I said, there's so much possibility and entries on this that, you know, I would be patient and just wait for that run. But when it happens, we're going to see a lot of movement across US related pairs. And I think USD yen, USD CAD are going to be phenomenal as well. USD Swiss could also move very aggressively, which I'm very much looking forward to. But at the moment, there is more than enough here. We're just looking like we're going to make that scoop back up. And New Zealand CAD. So once again, for me, New Zealand CAD at the moment, you know, as we said, we did want to see that sort of push above, but the way it's pushed above is very corrective, and it's not sort of price action I am looking at the moment. I think, you know, it's one that I think plenty of people could potentially entertain, but there's always the possibility that, you know, more can happen. It's just not the sort of price action I want to get involved in right now. I think there's a lot of possibilities and variations of what can happen. Until I see a bit more aggression in this, I'll probably look at it. But looking at it on the daily, it's quite simple. You know, what we see is basically this, where we basically tapped into this override and we squeezed, and now we're pushing up. And then if we do get more of a push and then some aggression to the side, we might be able to get involved on a long position. But there's always that possibility that we still come down correctively and we create something a little bit more parallel to the downside. So just understand that there's few more variations of what could happen. And USD CAD. Now, USD CAD is definitely one that I really do like. It's one that I think I've been eyeing up for some time. It's just it needs some time for development. It was looking really good, and I think we saw this before. It was looking very nice up here. Wait, yeah, it was looking very nice up here. It's just right now it's trading over here, so I'll definitely leave that one for now. And then the next one that I'll be looking at is Euro Aussie. So Euro Aussie as well, we are nearing up to this area, but given how price action is, I would say it's very likely we'll be making it back up to here. So I'll be waiting until price gets here before I look for any entry. Understand that, you know, given how tight this is, we could spike up, push down and sell from this override, but the override 2 is the more of the higher probability trade I am looking for, because it meets with, you know, somewhat of this sort of high outer structure, and we have a pattern within a pattern leading to it on the third leg. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I am interested in this trade at the O2. But even so, you know, if we don't get it, we don't get it. So essentially, yeah, that's basically what I'm looking at for Wednesday. Like I said, there's so many things happening, honestly. Like, it's phenomenal right now in the market. I think for sure opportunity is everywhere. I think GBP yen is going to be absolutely stunning. Bear in mind, you know, we can still get, you know, something like that, and then this just becomes a larger flag. But At the same time, you know, it doesn't have to do that. We can just sell off from where we are. So, you know, getting involved, strategically pricing yourself, these are the most important things. Protect your account, mitigate risk, make sure that, you know, you are definitely thinking about your long-term career as a trader, opposed to your short-term growth as a trader today, rather than you know, we want to grow long term. We want to be growing, so keep your mind on that. So yeah, look, thanks for watching. If you have any comments, anything you would like to say, hit that subscribe, like button, drop a comment below. Be more than happy to help you. And yeah, catch you in the next video.